Welcome to this week's episode of Bree Talks MMA. Today we are mostly going to be talking about UFC because obviously there's a lot going on with UFC right now. We had the return of The Ultimate Fighter with Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler. And then last night we had Kai Kara-France versus Amir Albazi for the UFC Fight Night. And yeah, we got a lot to unpack there. An interesting decision in the main event. So I definitely want to get into that. And kind of wanted to go through also what's upcoming in the UFC. I kind of brushed over it last episode and kind of went through all the upcoming fights, but want to talk about International Fight Week coming up soon, and also talk about just the Nunes fight and all that good stuff. So yeah, let's get right into it. So I'll just start from the bottom, start from the prelims. So the first fight was Philip Lins versus Max Grishin, and Philip Lins ended up winning via unanimous decision. That was a heavyweight fight, or I'm sorry, light heavyweight fight. And then bantamweight was Damon Blackshear. He defeated Luan Lacerda via a round 2 knockout. Or TKO. Was that TKO or knockout? I think that was a knockout and the other one was TKO. Because there was another in the prelims. Yeah, there was Muhammad Naimov. That was a second round TKO. That one, he hit him with like a counter right hand and then he ground and pound a little bit and it was, pretty much done. I mean, it was pretty much done even from the beginning, but that was really impressive. And then also in women's strawweight, Elise Reed defeated Jinyu Frey via unanimous decision. And then we've got bantamweight. There was a lot of bantamweight fights, I feel like, last night. John Castaneda, he defeated Muin Gafurov. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce these names. Unanimous decision on that one as well. Don'Tale Mayes defeated Andrei Arlovsky. And that one, let's see. Yeah, that was the round 2 TKO. Yeah, I honestly kind of can't even believe Andrei Arlovsky is still in the UFC because I didn't look this up earlier. I meant to look it up because I'm really curious. Andrei Arlovsky. I'm curious how long he's been in the UFC. I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, it's got to be a long, a long time. Let's see. So he was on, his first fight was UFC 28. Guys, Andrei Arlovsky has been in the UFC for over 22 years. That is crazy. That's crazy. Wait a second. Has anybody been in the UFC that long? I mean, that's just wild to me. That's a long time. 22 years in the UFC. I mean, I guess it's not like 22 straight years because he had some time in there where he was fighting for other organizations, but still. Oh, I forgot he fought Brendan Schaub. That's funny. He's fought everyone. Like, there isn't a heavyweight on earth that he hasn't fought, it seems like. Oh my gosh. Okay, anyways, I just had to go off on a tangent for a second on Andrei Arlovsky. Sucks he lost, because I always like to see him win, because it's just fun watching him fight. He's just such a fun personality. But then, see what was after that. Bantamweight, Daniel Santos defeated Johnny Munoz. That was unanimous decision. And he improved his record to 12-2 after that. Oh, Dos Santos versus Nurmagomedov. That fight was interesting. I mean, by interesting, I mean just, yeah, weird matchup. I was excited for that matchup because normally I'm excited to watch like a Russian versus a Brazilian just because of the styles. But I don't know, something about them together just didn't jive. Like, I don't know. It was a weird fight. I mean, Dos Santos won. I honestly thought it was going to be a unanimous decision for Santos. I don't know if I'm just crazy or maybe I saw a different fight. I don't know. I thought it was like pretty clear that he won. I don't know. I mean, he won the decision, but it was a split decision. So one judge, and I think it was it Derek Cleary? God, if it was Derek Cleary, I'm going to laugh so hard. Where are the scorecards? Oh, here they are. Let's see what the judges had to say. Yeah, it was Derek Cleary. Shocker. Okay. And I'm not a judge, so I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert on judging. But I feel like I know a little bit about fighting. I've watched a lot of fights, okay? I've seen a lot of decisions. And I know how the scoring works. But I'm not a judge, so whatever. You know, I'm not gonna pretend. But yeah, I just thought I was just surprised that one judge thought Nurmagomedov won the fight. Because I don't know, it seemed like he was really just struggling to take Dos Santos down. And obviously Dos Santos was better than him on the feet. So it's like, in what way did he win? I don't know. Maybe they saw something I didn't see. But I thought it was pretty clear. I thought it was going to be a unanimous decision for Dos Santos. That's all I thought. But it's all good. And I actually was hoping Nurmagomedov would win, because how cool would that be if there was another Nurmagomedov fighter that become really successful. I don't know. But yeah, Dos Santos I thought won. I thought it was just a weird fight, actually. I don't know. It's just weird. It was a weird energy, I feel like. The vibes were off. Even in the arena, well, I guess it wasn't really an arena. I think it was at the Apex or something. There wasn't a lot of people there. I mean, there were, but I don't know. It seemed like the people were kind of quiet. I'm like, you're watching fights. How are you just sitting there just chilling? I don't know. But whatever. It was just, it was a weird energy. The whole fight night. Women's flyweight, Karine Silva. She moved up to 16-4 after defeating Ketlin Souza via a first-round submission. And that was one of the most disturbing submissions I've ever seen. Well, at least I've seen in a while. I've seen some pretty bad ones, actually. But that, I think it's just worse because I've watched it 8 times since then. Because I keep seeing it on my Instagram. I'm like, can you guys stop posting this? I don't need to see this knee get torn again. But yeah. Yeah, her knee popped. I don't know what happened. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend I know, that's the MCL. I don't know. But something popped. And it was not good. But congrats to Karine Silva. And then in flyweight, we had Tim Elliott defeated Altamirano. Unanimous decision. I thought that fight was pretty clear for Tim Elliott. I thought he won all 3 rounds. Yeah, so no question about that. It wasn't... I was expecting him to be able to finish the fight, but I mean, I still thought I thought he very convincingly won the fight, at least. So I would say that's a good performance. I'd say if you win and you beat your opponent clearly all 3 rounds, then I think, I don't know. I think that's a good performance. But what did the judges say about that one? Let's see. So Ron McCarthy and Derek Cleary scored it 30-27 for Tim Elliott, but Chris Lee scored it 29-28. What? Hold on a second. Maybe I missed something. Was it? What happened in the second round that made him... I don't know. I'll have to watch it again and see what I missed. But I thought Tim Elliott won all 3 rounds. Am I crazy? I don't know. I'm not a judge. Anyways. Lightweight. Jim freaking Miller. He's now, I think, 36-17. And he now has the record for the most wins in the UFC. So he has 25 wins in the UFC. And he's the first person to do that, which is insane. And he's just... There's nobody else really quite like Jim Miller. I just don't think we've ever had a guy like him. He's so unique. And let me pull up his record. I'm pretty sure he has some type of autoimmune disease too, which I also have an autoimmune disease. So of course I kind of, resonate with that. Yeah, in 2013, he got diagnosed with Lyme disease. He said he's been able to alleviate the symptoms of the disease by changing his nutrition plan. Yeah, that's how I have alleviated symptoms of my autoimmune disease. Yeah, so not only is he the guy with the most fights and the most wins in the UFC, but he also has Lyme disease. Like, he's dealing with a chronic illness all at the same time. That's crazy. That is nuts. Yeah, I always forget that he has a win over Charles Oliveira, which is crazy. I mean, it's from a long time ago, but... Yeah, Jim Miller. Gosh, what a legend. When he retires, he's definitely going to be in the Hall of Fame. And I think you can't get into the Hall of Fame until you retire. I think that's how it works. Because I was thinking about it, and I'm like, is there anybody in the Hall of Fame that's actively fighting? Like, no, I don't think so. Like, I guess you have to probably be out of the testing pool. I don't know, because it seems like people don't get nominated until they retire. So, I don't know. I'll have to look up the rules for what the criteria is for the Hall of Fame. But I guess once he retires, then he would be eligible to be... He's got to go to the Hall of Fame. Oh, my gosh. He has to. Yeah, what a freaking legend. One of the best lightweights to never win a belt, for sure. For sure. And then we had another OG. We had Alex Caceres, who he's a guy that like a lot of people might not really know who he is because he seems to always be kind of flying under the radar, but he's very talented and he's been doing this for a long time. So let me see when he got in the UFC. Because I know he's been in the UFC for a while. Bruce Leroy. That's his nickname, which is awesome. So he went to the UFC in 2011. Yeah, so he's been in the UFC for a while. It seems like he's been doing pretty well. I mean, he lost to Sadiq Youssef, but that was a decision. And then his last fight that he lost before that was Kron Gracie. He got submitted, which, yeah, that's what Kron Gracie does. Except in his last fight. Yeah, so he's doing pretty well. Because he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Out of his last 8 fights, he's won 7 of them. So I'd say that's pretty good. But he's that guy that just never seemed to be able to like break through. I don't know. He's very talented. But yeah, just never seemed to really have his big moment. He's 34, so he's still got a little bit of time, but we'll see what happens. We'll see, what he ends up doing. I mean, he's at featherweight, so that's an interesting division. It's kind of, I've said this before, it's kind of a mess right now. But that's about to change because in July, Yair and Volkanovski are fighting, so that'll be very interesting to see. Which I would think Volkanovski wins that fight, but I don't know. You just never know. You really never know because there's always those guys that just come in and they pull off some kind of upset, and you're like, wow, everything I believed was wrong. Like that is like if Cyril Gane would have beat John Jones, that would have been like kind of similar. Not quite the same because Volkanovski still isn't on paper, like resume wise, not on the same level of John Jones. But I mean, when you look at what he's done, I can't even remember the last time that guy lost. I don't even know if he's ever lost in the UFC. I think his losses were before the UFC, besides Islam. Which, I mean, did anybody think he was going to beat Islam? I don't know. I just didn't see any way for him to win that fight. So I was kind of expecting the result to be what it was. Yeah, his only loss before that was one time, and that was in 2013 in a different promotion. It was before the UFC. So yeah, I mean, very impressive career. So we'll see what happens at featherweight. But yeah, I was glad to see Alex Caceres win. And I don't know if he was ranked before this fight, but he's ranked number 15 in the division. So I mean, he could think about maybe going on a title run. He's 34. It's not like he's 40. He's still got a little bit of time, but yeah, I've just never seen him really be able to, break through. I don't know. But I've always thought he was so good. So who knows? We'll see what happens for the future with him, but to be in the top 15, that's a big deal. And then, okay, let's talk about the main event. I don't know what happened, okay? I don't know what happened. Amir Albazi defeated Kai Kara-France via split decision. So the judges said Amir Albazi won this fight. And I just don't know if I agree. So I did a poll on Instagram. Let's see an update on it. Let's see an update. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm going to sneeze. So if I start sneezing, I am sorry. My allergies are in full swing for spring. Okay, so I posted in my story who won the fight. Kara France? Kara France, is that really what I just said? Kara France or Albazi? And 100% of the people that responded said Kara France. So I don't know. Instagram says Kara France won, and then Mike Bell and Chris Lee thought, I don't know. No. Sal D'Amato and Chris Lee thought Albazi won the fight. Well, Chris Lee also thought that Tim Elliott lost round 2 of his fight. So, can we trust him? I don't know. But what's weird is, like, they both said that Albazi won, but they both have different scorecards. Chris Lee scored it the first round for Kara France, which I agree. Second round, he scored for Albazi. I disagree. Third round, he scored for Albazi. I agree. Fourth round, I thought was close, but I would have given it to Kara France. He gave it to Albazi. Okay. And then the fifth round, he gave to Kara France. Okay, I think we all can agree that Kara France won the first and fifth round, for sure. Okay, got it. So the second and the fourth round are the rounds that are in question, basically. Because Mike Bell scored round 4 for Kara France. So round 4, Kara France actually had a takedown in that round. I don't think he did anything with it, but he did get a takedown. And, or wait, was that the round where he was like on top at the end? Why am I suddenly forgetting what the heck happened in this fight? Round 4, that was when Kara France got the takedown, I think. Wasn't it? Am I just going insane? Okay, I gotta look at the fight stats real quick because I don't want to look like an idiot. Round 4, okay. Yeah, Kara France got a takedown, and he also outstruck Albazi by a lot. So how could you score? I mean, I guess Albazi did some. He was doing well early in the round, but it was the last half of the round, Kara France just kind of took over. And then round 5 was definitely, that was all Kai. Round 3 was Albazi. Because he had Kai in some dangerous positions in that round, and yeah, I would give that to Albazi. But round 2, Kai still outstruck Albazi, and there weren't any takedowns, so I don't get it. Explain it to me. And I know that, like, the strike counts. Well, first of all, they're not always accurate. I know that's not all that matters. And I think here's why maybe the judges scored it for him. I think this is why they scored it for Albazi. So the reason the judges scored the fight for Albazi, I think maybe has something to do with his octagon control. Because he was controlling where Kara France was most of the fight. And he had moments in every round. It's not like he got dominated. You know, they were close rounds, but I thought they were close, but I thought it was still clear that Kara-France won the round. I don't think it was a robbery. I think that word gets thrown around a little too much. It wasn't a robbery because here's the thing. Here's my reaction to the fight. When the fight was over, I was like, so I guess Kara-France won. That was my reaction. I wasn't even going to watch the decision, but I'm like, well, these judges, you know, I should probably watch it and see who actually won the fight. And I was like, wait, oh, really? Oh, I was surprised, but I wasn't like, oh, that's a robbery. I was like, oh, that's stupid. You know, that was literally my reaction. I'm like, that's stupid. But it's not a robbery. It's just stupid. It's just a stupid score. It's just dumb. What are these judges thinking? But yeah, I think the octagon control had a lot to do with maybe what swayed them to score it for Albazi, especially in the second round, because it did look like he was leading the dance, like most of the fight. And Kara-France, he was also, he was throwing a lot of counters, and he was also being more aggressive than Albazi, in my opinion, in the striking. So, and he was landing, I think he was landing them way more often. Like, he was throwing and he was landing. Albazi was throwing a lot, but he wasn't landing nearly as much. And when Kara-France landed, it just seemed a lot more significant than Albazi. So, I don't know. That's just my thoughts. That's my thoughts. And I don't think octagon control really counts unless it's, like, really close. So, I don't know. If you're outstruck in a round, but you had octagon control, the score should still go to the person who outstruck you. I don't know. I don't know, guys. I don't know what to believe anymore. I don't know I don't know how to judge these fights, okay? I don't know. Apparently they know what they're doing because they're judges. That's their job. It's not my job, so I assume they know more than I do. That's just what I have to assume because it's their job. But what the heck, guys? What are we doing? Yeah. So, interesting judging, whatever. It happens. It's never going to stop, I don't think, unfortunately. I think that's always going to be a problem in combat sports. But people think it's just in MMA. I'm like, no. There is bad judging in boxing. There is bad judging in kickboxing. There is bad judging in everything. Okay? So, just saying. Yeah, and then, so the Jim Miller fight, that was interesting. So that was the guy that he fought, Jesse Butler. He took that fight on short notice. I think he took it on like a couple days notice. So very, very short notice. And it was his UFC debut. And sometimes that's how you get your debut. That's how you get an opportunity. And yeah, you're rolling the dice when you're doing that because you're taking a huge chance because you're on a big stage, you're in the UFC, and you know, that can be intimidating, but he took the fight. So obviously he thought, okay, maybe this is my chance, my big opportunity. Maybe this is my big break. Maybe I can beat this guy. You know, he wouldn't have taken the fight if he didn't think there was any way he could win the fight. So the fact that Jesse Butler took it on short notice, I don't think that takes anything away from Jim Miller's performance. And I know some people are probably going to try to do that. So, yeah, I mean, he's still a great fighter. And he wasn't somebody who like just started fighting. Like he's been fighting for a while. It's just, he was fighting outside of the UFC. So, yeah, but the quickness that Jim Miller knocked him out is like, oh my gosh, it was crazy. That was an insane knockout. But I don't know what would have happened if it would have been Jared Gordon, because here's the thing, like, it's not just that he punched him and knocked him out and that's like his whole thing. It's like he had to be in a certain position in order to pull that off. And the guy fighting him had to, make a certain mistake for that, to allow that to happen. Would Jared Gordon have made that same mistake with all of his UFC experience? I don't know. And Jared Gordon's pretty tough, so I don't know. But the thing is, when was that fight with Bobby Green? Because I feel like that was really recent. I can't remember the date. Yeah, that was April 22nd. So yeah, about 6 weeks ago, because Dana was saying how he got a concussion 6 weeks ago, and I'm like, concussion? I'm like, oh, that from the fight, not from training, from like the fight. And I don't know. I guess that's what happens, when this is your career and you got to fight. So you take a fight, even though you just got knocked out by a headbutt. And so Dana wouldn't allow the fight to happen. But it's like, why did you book the fight in the first place? That's what did Dana not know? I don't know. I don't think that fight should have been booked. I don't know. That's just my thought. 6 weeks after you get knocked out, you're already back fighting? I don't know. It just seems weird to me. It just seems weird. Like, you get knocked out with a headbutt and then you're already back. Like, I think you need more time than that. And I think that is not Jared Gordon's fault. Because if he gets offered a fight, he's probably going to take it. Because he's a fighter. This is how he makes money. But, I think the UFC probably shouldn't have even made that fight to begin with. Or maybe made it at a later date. Give him a fight, but don't give him a fight right 6 weeks after. I don't know. But, yeah, I just thought that was kind of weird that Dana was, like, blaming him. Like, he's like, oh, you have to be honest with us. And it's like, did you forget that he just got knocked out? Don't you think they would have been like, hey, since this fight is, 6 weeks after you got knocked out, let's take it to a doctor. Like, what? I'm confused. I don't know. I'm confused. Okay. I'm just confused by the whole thing. But it is what it is. It is what it is, guys. Okay. That's the UFC. Anyways, let's talk about the Ultimate Fighter. So the Ultimate Fighter is back, and it's Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. First episode was, kind of what you expect from the first episode. It was introducing the fighters. The first episode is always kind of like hard to get into. It was easier to get into like back in the day because there was like so many just personalities, and it was definitely a lot more I don't know. It was like when Nate Diaz was on the Ultimate Fight, like the back in the days. Chael Sonnen, it was fun. It was really fun. And it's still fun, but it's just not the same, I think the focus is definitely more on the coaches this season, obviously, because it's Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. So I think that's more of like the story that everybody's drawn to with the Ultimate Fighter right now is Conor McGregor's coming back. And Chandler, and they're both coaching like basically two different groups of people. So like Conor is coaching like the newbies, like the guys that have never been in the UFC. And then Chandler is coaching the Basically like the OGs, the veterans, the guys that have been in the UFC before and they got cut, or maybe they're in the UFC now. That's who he's coaching. So it's kind of interesting seeing, the different not age groups. I guess the veterans are probably mostly going to be older, but not necessarily. I guess the former UFC versus the young blood. So yeah, it's interesting. And the first fight was Roosevelt Roberts versus Nate Jennerman, I think is how you say it. I know it's Nate. Yeah, I think it's Nate Jennerman. Hopefully I pronounced that right. But that sucks. That fight, what was it, like 10 seconds? It was not very long. That's rough. And I feel bad because, like, he was crying afterwards. And, like, can you imagine going to the Ultimate Fighter and you're the first fight and you get knocked out in 10 seconds? So you don't even get to show people any of your skills because the fight's over in 10 seconds. So you don't get to showcase anything. And then you have to stay there. They're not even sending him home. He has to stay there. It's like, what? I don't know. I don't think I'd be able to deal with it. That's stressful. And he said he works at UPS or something. And he also, what else did he say? Oh, they have a gym. Him and his wife like own a gym. And they teach like kids classes and stuff. And then he does fighting. And he trains at Rufus Sport. That's a lot. And he has kids. That's a lot to put on your plate. So for him to, seeing him break down like that, it's like, I get it. Cause like not that I get it cause I'm not a fighter, but like I get the emotional side of it because it's like, I've had times in my life where I had so much going on and it was just like, anytime that things didn't go my way, it was just like, oh my God, because you're trying so hard to make things work. You're trying so hard and you're literally emptying your tank and then nothing. And he's got to stay there like and be away from his family. That sucks. I mean, I get it. It's like, oh, you want to be a fighter, but it's like, I don't know. I don't know if that mentality is healthy. That old school mentality. And like I saw Hanato Moicano, I think it was, like talking trash about him, crying, making fun of him. I'm like, that's kind of, I don't know, that's kind of rude, I think. I think that's kind of disrespectful. Because like, you don't know what somebody's going through. There's nothing wrong with showing emotion. I don't know. That's just my opinion, but I'm a woman, so I don't know. I'm different. You guys with your emotions are just strange to me, but it's okay. It's okay. But yeah, I feel bad for him. He seems like a really nice guy. And, he's got a very humble story and he's a family man. And yeah, I mean, that it breaks your heart to see that. So that sucks, but, good for Roosevelt. I mean, that's a great way to start your Ultimate Fighter, run. So, yeah, I'm excited to see how this season plays out. I mean, obviously, first episode is kind of like, okay, we'll see how it goes. She's just introducing everybody, but I don't know. It'll be fun to see kind of more how it all plays out and how Chandler and Connor compete against each other. It'll be fun. But yeah, so that's on Tuesday nights. So, yep. And then what else do we have coming up? We've got PFL coming up. That I think is on Thursday. Let me pull it up just to make sure. Yeah, Thursday, June 8th, 10 p.m. Eastern time. I guess that's the main card. Let's see here. So the main card is Brandon Loughnane versus Pinedo. Marlon Moraes is on the card, it looks like. It'll be a fun card. PFL 4. Why don't they just have a thing where it shows me what time the main card starts and what time... I'm confused. Whatever. Okay, get me out of here. I guess the prelims start at 6:30 Eastern time and the main card starts at 10. I don't know. It doesn't say, but that's what I'm assuming. Whatever. I don't know. But Loughnane is the current champion. I guess that's featherweight. I think it said. Yeah, featherweight. So that'll be exciting. Featherweight's always fun to watch. But yeah. Also coming up is Amanda Nunes versus Aldana. That should be a fun card. Because the co-main event is Oliveira versus Dariush. And I'm probably a little bit more excited about that fight than the women's fight. And I don't know. I think if I was betting on it, I would probably pick Amanda Nunes. But I feel like this is a fight where maybe it's time to for a new champion. We just saw it happen with Shevchenko. This is also another Mexican fighter. You know, Grasso beat Shevchenko and Aldana. You know, what if we can have another Mexican champion? How cool would that be? How cool would that be? She's ranked number 5 right now. I don't know. I would say I think Nunes is probably the better fighter. But how much longer can Nunes keep doing this? I mean, jeez. This woman. She doesn't stop. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We'll see. We shall see. I would go... I'm probably leaning like 70% Nunes, 30% Aldana is probably where I'm at right now. I think there's a chance she could beat Nunes, but I don't know. It is Amanda Nunes. She is not an easy person to beat. Also, Dan Ige is fighting on that card, so that'll be fun. He's fighting Nate Landwehr. That'll be a fun fight. Imavov is fighting Chris Curtis. That'll be a fun fight. Middleweight. Khalil Roundtree is fighting Chris Dawkins. Miranda Maverick is fighting Jasmine. I'm not going to try to pronounce that. I think I tried to pronounce it last week and I messed it up, so I'm not going to do it again. Yeah. There's a women's strawweight fight opening up the prelims. Diana Belbita versus Maria Oliveira. So a Brazilian versus a Romanian. Don't see a lot of Romanians. That's cool. Yeah, it should be a fun card. I mean, it's definitely not anywhere near the 291 card, but that's okay. They can't all be the same. You know, we can't get... The main event and the co-main event are going to be bangers, for sure. And then Dan Ige versus Landwehr, that's going to be a banger, too. Anytime Dan Ige is fighting, it's always pretty much a banger. What else do we got coming up? We got a couple fight nights. I think there's going to be fights every week for, like, several months. So that's fun. Let's talk about International Fight Week. So I didn't even really know much about International Fight Week. Like, I knew it was like a whole thing they do in Vegas, like at the whatever it is. I don't know where they do it actually. But they have somewhere, and it's like a whole like event. Like it's almost like a fighting festival. Which is pretty awesome. And it's a week for like fans to go kind of like check stuff out, and I think that's when they do the Hall of Fame too. So they're doing the Hall of Fame, and then I think they're inducting Jose Aldo to the Hall of Fame this time, and somebody else too. I'll have to check it and see who else. But yeah, so it's just like a fan experience, I guess. But I really want to go. So if anyone has the hookup, let me know. I'd really like to go. I want to cover it too. Like, I want to cover the fights. Obviously, I'm going to, no matter what, even if I don't go. But I want to actually go see it in person, like, so bad. Like, oh my God, I would lose my mind. Yeah, because guys, listen to this card. This card is crazy. So Volkanovski versus Yair Rodriguez is the main event. Co-main is Brandon Moreno versus Pantoja. And then Robert Whittaker versus Duplessis. Guys, that's a banger. Bobby freaking Knuckles. And then after that is Jalen Turner versus Dan Hooker. That fight is... That's a banger. Bo Nickel versus Trayshawn Gore. Guys! And then check out the prelims. The prelims are... It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop at the main card, guys. Robbie Lawler versus Nico Price. Robbie Lawler! That's like an OG fight. I like that fight. Sean Brady versus Jack Della Maddalena. I probably butchered that. Yasmin Jauregui. I messed that up. Versus Denise Gomez. Jimmy Crute versus Alonzo Menafield. That's a good fight. Yeah, this is a great card. And it's International Fight Week. I'm so excited. So that fight is on Saturday, July 8th. So I guess the beginning of that week is International Fight Week. That makes sense. Yeah. I really want to go. So bad. So bad. I'm going to manifest it. I'm manifesting it right now, okay? That would be fun. That would be so fun. Because, like, I don't know. It's one thing to watch fights on TV and then talk about them. But, like, I can imagine it being so much more fun to talk about fights if I actually watch the fight in person. Like, that would be insane. Insane. But we'll see. We shall see. It'll be a fun card though. Very fun. But I'm excited for the Nunes card too. Cuz it's always exciting to watch Amanda Nunes fight. She's a legend. She is a freaking legend. But yeah, I don't know. What else is coming on? Coming up in the world of combat sports. Oh, Clarissa Shields won her fight. I didn't watch boxing. Obviously, I was watching UFC, and then by the time I got done with UFC, boxing was already over, so I was like, oh, okay. Thought they would wait. I guess it wasn't a big UFC card, though, so probably like, nobody cares about flyweight. I care about flyweight, but a lot of people don't. Like, most people didn't even know there were fights last night. Because, like, I was texting people. They're like, oh, I didn't even know anybody was fighting. And I'm like, yeah. Because nobody cares. Nobody cares. I want to see the score, though. How she won. Because I didn't watch it. $100-89 was the score on one of the cards. And then the other two were 190. So this week we've got UFC. Well, we've got The Ultimate Fighter first. On Tuesday, we got The Ultimate Fighter. Thursday, we got PFL. Friday, we've got Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. And then Saturday, we've got... Is that the Nunes card? Yeah, Saturday's the Nunes card, so that's pay-per-view. Yeah, so a lot going on this week. We're with MMA and also Bare Knuckle. So that'll be fun. So I'm excited. It's going to be a busy week of fights. Really not that much to talk about this week. You know, it was Memorial Day weekend, the weekend before. So covered kickboxing. And then this week we just had UFC pretty much. I mean, there were some smaller shows going on, but I was so busy this weekend. It's like, I'm just going to focus on UFC. And then because I know I'm like, after this weekend, it's going to be non-stop fights for a while. So I'm like, let me take advantage of this weekend and just focus on UFC and just chill for a sec. And then, because it's about to get crazy in MMA. It's about to get crazy. I'm excited to see how things play out with PFL because it's just so new. And we just don't know how it all is going to play out. So it'll be exciting. But I'm going to wrap it up this episode. That's all I got for you guys. But make sure to also check out Jocko Fuel if you haven't already. I put 3 cans here, so it says go, go, go. I don't know. I'm a dork. But use my code BREEBREE if you want to order anything off of there. And then you will get 10% off. And it also will support me and support the podcast. So I appreciate you. But I'm going to wrap it up now. Thank you guys for joining me, and thank you for all the support. I appreciate everybody sharing my stuff. That really does help me, and it helps grow the podcast, so I appreciate it. And I will see you guys next week. Bye.